Darkness spreads everywhere, but there are places where it becomes almost tangible, places that hold secrets forgotten by time. One of them was the abandoned Blackridge Psychiatric Hospital, standing on a hill in the deep woods of Maine. Locals avoided mentioning the hospital. Built in the 1920s, Blackridge was originally a home for the mentally ill. However, according to rumors, doctors there practiced gruesome experiments on patients, lobotomies, shock therapy, and something no one dared to talk about. In 1979, the hospital was suddenly closed and all records were destroyed. No one knew why. The only thing left were the sinister stories. People who decided to explore the ruins spoke of whispers, shadows, and strange symbols carved into the walls. But when several teenagers went missing after hiking to the hospital, access to it was officially banned. In January 2025, 4 college students decided to spend the night in an abandoned hospital. They didn't believe in ghosts and considered themselves daring explorers. "It's just an old legend to scare tourists," said Mark, the group's leader. With him were his best friend Kate, her younger brother Evan, and their friend Zack. "Let's videotape it," Evan suggested, holding up a camera. "We'll upload it to YouTube. It'll get tons of views." Kate was less sure of the plan. "Maybe that's not the best idea. They say weird things happen there." "Stop it, Kate," Mark interrupted her. "You don't believe those stories. It's just an abandoned building. What could happen?" The friends reached the hospital in the late afternoon. The building loomed a grim silhouette against the starless sky. The windows were broken and the doors were hung with rusty chains. But Mark had brought a crowbar to pry open the entrance. When they stepped inside, they were greeted by cold, musty air. Inside, the hospital looked as if time had stood still. Old wheelchairs stood in the hallways, the walls were covered in peeling paint, and medical instruments blackened with rust were lying in the corner. "Look!" Evan exclaimed, pointing the camera at one of the walls. There were strange symbols carved there, circles, lines, and something that looked like eyes. "It looks like they were applied recently," Zack muttered. "Stop scaring yourself," Mark snickered. "It's just graffiti. Let's go upstairs." When they got to the second floor, Kate noticed something strange. "Do you hear that?" she asked, stopping. Everyone fell silent. A faint whisper was heard in the silence, as if someone was speaking from far away. "Must be the wind," Mark said, but his voice trembled treacherously. The whisper grew louder and the words became discernible. "Go. Back. It's too late." Kate turned around sharply, thinking someone was behind her, but there was only darkness. "We have to leave," she said, but Mark ignored her. On the third floor, the friends found a chamber with a metal door covered in dried rust. On it was carved the word, "Do not enter." "We should definitely go in," Mark said with a smile. He opened the door and Evan's camera captured what was inside. The chamber was empty except for a chair with restraining straps standing in the middle of the room. A huge pentagram-like symbol was carved into the floor, but then the door closed behind them with a crash. Kate screamed and Mark tried to open it, but to no avail. Suddenly the camera light began to flicker, and the moment it came back on, there was a figure sitting in the chair. Black, hunched over, with empty eye sockets that stared straight at them. "Run!" Zack shouted, pulling the door open. He was the first to run out of the room, followed by the others. But when they reached the stairs, Evan suddenly stopped. "Where's Kate?" he whispered. They turned around, but she was nowhere to be found. "She was behind me, crying," Zack said. At that moment her scream, full of terror, came from the hallway. Zack rushed back, but Mark stopped him. "No! It wasn't her!" The whispers surrounded them again, louder this time. The voices spoke simultaneously. "You shouldn't have come, now you're going to stay." In the morning, the police found their car left outside the hospital. Inside the building, they found nothing but scattered belongings and a camera turned on. The footage showed the friends running down the corridors with shadows moving behind them that can't be explained. Kate was never found. Evan and Zack disappeared as well. The only one who came back was Mark, but he couldn't say anything. He sat in the mental institution, whispering senselessly, "She's watching, she's waiting." Blackridge has reabsorbed its secrets, leaving just one more story for the locals to scare the new curious. Sometimes it's best to leave the past alone, because in some places the darkness never goes away.